Have you seen the world's greatest mysteries about alien spaceships, UAP, UFOs, all the things under the sun for the aliens? That is going to be underneath the mysterious and governmental holding of the Project Blue Book. And today I'm going to go ahead. I know every time we do these alien episodes, I kind of just jump right into it. There's a reason for it. It's because Project Blue Book, I think, is one of the greatest mysteries and one of the greatest reveals from our government on these types of things. There's an entire book that I've mentioned before, and I will mention again eventually. Can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but the guy that wrote it and everything has been long since gone, and it is really sad because you see a lot of cool, interesting things he says in his book that I'll bring up later in today's episode. But again, hello everybody. I am Joey. I'm your host, and I am here with my co-host Nate.
Hello, that's me.
And for anybody that doesn't know what we do here on A Delve Deeper, shame on you. Just kidding. Welcome. I'm so happy to have you guys here. We take deep dives on everything mythos, creatures, cryptids, mutants, aliens, all sorts of things. And hauntings. Don't forget hauntings. Can't forget the ghosts, ghouls, and goblins, So, if you guys are just stopping by for the first time ever to listen to Project Blue Book, this is a big one, everyone. I'm happy to say that welcome, everybody. If you've watched us before,
Yes.
very excited
Welcome,
to
our
say
delvers.
absolutely. I'm very excited to have you guys back here again for another episode. Um, as we've explained in our, we're gonna be coming out with another episode here. That is gonna be going over yokai for our Mythos files. I hope you guys are really excited. Gonna be excited for that one. That one is gonna be coming out after this one, so be ready for that.
Yes.
And we'll be getting into a visual format hopefully by the episode after that one. So it'll be really awesome to have all of our assets set and get going on YouTube. So for all of you that have been asking me online and emailing me about when we're gonna get visual assets for everything to give you guys stuff, it's coming this year. Me and Nate have been working on this a lot this year. We're getting a lot done,
Hell
and
yeah.
I'm trying to get a ton ready for the YouTube change. And even if you're a fan of DED coming over because you like different stuff, that is getting its revamp here soon as well. The only other thing I have to say is I got to thank our sponsor, Dubby. They are amazing, and they have been with Patchwork Media for a very long time. If you've ever been over to DED, they've been a sponsor for the channel for the past 6 to 8 months, and they've just recently came in and pulled me aside to bring them onto this show as well. They are super awesome. If you don't know what W is a energy drink company new to the game, and they do everything from cans, shakers, and powders. And so if you guys want to just pick up cans because you don't really want to shake up your own stuff, totally fine. They got that ready for you. And if you're more of a powder guy like myself, I'm really into a lot of their flavors. Personally, I'm a big
They
fan
currently got
of
a
Mystery
solo
Tub.
leveling collab.
Yeah, solo leveling collab. They've got the blue raz with that. That one's really good. I have a tub of that
Yeah.
one as well.
Shadow Monarch.
I happen to drink the mystery flavor more than any other. If you've ever tried that mystery flavor zebra gum in your childhood, it's gonna bring you right back to that. It's one of my favorites. I get it every time. Um, and with that, it is a no jitter liquid, high energy. I've replaced my coffee with this because I used to be a big coffee guy, but now I wake up, I put a little bit of powder into my water bottle, shake it up, and I'm good to go for the rest of the day. Really awesome, especially with a lot of the stuff that I do here and on our show for Patrick Media. And if you guys want to go pick up a tub of your own, you guys can go ahead and go over to W, and during the checkout, you can put in our tag, discount tag, Patchwork Games, which is going to be PATCHWERK Games, all one word. And you guys are going to get a fat 10% discount off. and that is going to cover pretty much your shipping and your tax write off. So I mean, you just end up paying for the
Yeah.
tubs and whatever that is, and you guys can go enjoy it and taste it for yourself. So don't take my word for it. Just go try W over at
Yeah.
wdubby.gg. So thank you, W, for sponsoring this episode, and we're gonna go ahead and hop right into Project Blue Book.
Right, which is definitely not to be confused with Kelly Blue Book. Um, I had to explain that to someone earlier today. I was like, "We're doing Project Blue Book," and they were like, "Kelly Blue Book? Like you guys talk about cars?" I was like, "No, Whoa. We talk about cars that fly through space."
Yeah, pretty much. It
And
it's
so does
such an
Project Blue Book.
interesting. Yeah. Project Blue Book is probably one of the most interesting things to come out in the past decade for us as Americanos. I know. Um, a lot of stuff doesn't get disclosed in our government. Surprise, surprise. But this is one of those things that
Our
did
government
come
wouldn't
out.
lie, Joey.
No, you're right. You're right. Your government won't lie to you. That was on
Yeah.
Wendigo. That was Wendigoon, and oh, what was it? He was also on the vice president's TikTok account for like a month because he said that. So just remember that. Thank you, Wendigoon. But yeah, Project Blue
Wendigoon.
Book is really, really interesting. It's a lot of detailed reports and stuff, and if you don't know what it is, that's why we're here to tell you today. So, Project Blue Book kind of started out as a lot of different named projects. This is the final kind of stapled copy of this and other projects mixed together over the course of years. Um, we were talking
Oh yeah,
about
starting back in the 1940s.
yeah. And I know that you have a couple of the other names, Nate, for sure.
Yeah, so some of the other projects that got absorbed into Project Blue Book, so these started out as different things, and then it kind of just became absorbed, like I said. But there was Project Sign, which Joey, you let me know that that was named that way because the gentleman loved the book that the movie is based on.
Yep.
Um, and then another one is Project Grudge, and both of these were basically UFO studying projects, or as we call them nowadays, UAP.
It was UAP, so it's UFOs and anomalous activities. So they say that it's purely only like extraterrestrial things. They don't explicitly say that. They just say either UAP or phenomena, or they'll use a lot of words in the book. So if you ever read the book, it is incredibly interesting because there's a lot of verbiage that obviously in government documents that me and you have talked about, Nate, where they just try to like just throw you off to give you a weird different idea
Oh
from
yeah.
reading it. But in reality, what this is, Project Blue Book is about phenomena and UAP slash UFO stuff. They studied all of the weird shit going on in the world. I say the world, mostly the US. They had a couple of instances that came from reports of outside the US, but they don't get explicitly documented in this. There's plenty of other books about that stuff in other countries by other countries' governments. But
Right.
this one specifically is from the US. Um,
Yes.
and the phenomena stuff, like I said, it comes up in the book a lot, and like a lot of the things in this entailed in it. But they also focus on like oddly specific. There's a couple of them that suggest that it's like a cryptid, and it's kind of funny.
Right. And I said this earlier, but I think it's a good time to kind of bring it in case people are wondering. The whole reason it's called Project Blue Book is literally just because it's hard. Basically, the US military was trying to figure out what they were, whether they posed danger, all these UAPs and UFO sightings. And basically, at the time, Air Force officials equated studying the phenomenon with preparing for a collegiate blue book final exam, right? And so that's the whole reason that it's called that, is just because it's hard. It's fucking hard.
Yeah. And it just
um
listening to a lot of this stuff, you can see why.
oh yeah. Absolutely. Just a simple one that, like, one of the most simple things in all of Project Blue Book is called the estimate of the situation document. And this is also one of the last things in the Blue Book because it was 1960s. And I believe Project Blue Book technically ended 1969 and became something else.
Yep, it was
Um
1969, December 17th, it was dissolved.
yeah. But the Air Force officials denied that the document ever existed forever until this recently declassified stuff happened. But people who vouched for the authenticity was like, no, in 1948, these guys, like two experienced pilots, saw a torpedo-shaped glowing object zip past their aircraft and rocket into the clouds. Um, and that's the thing with Project Blue Book, I think, too, which lends it credibility, is this isn't Joe Schmo off the street. This isn't just your average goon. You know what I mean? These are experienced pilots, decorated soldiers, like reliable, for the most part, people.
Yeah. Yeah, and it gets tagged a lot as fake, uh,
Oh,
even
of course.
today. Um, yeah, but many people do believe that it's still going today under a different project file, but they've refused to release it. Which I am a big
Right.
believer of that as well. That I mean, they have a
Me
lot
too.
more. I mean, we talked about the hearing. There's
I
obviously
was just gonna
studies and
say.
stuff going on that they're just barely disclosing to this day. We don't have all the stuff, and I know that's what they've been working towards for a very long time. But it's still one of those weird mysteries to just be like, why not just say something about it? And
For
it's just
real.
been weirder and weirder every year. I swear, like every year, Nate, we get something bigger and bigger come out about UFO, UAP, aliens, stuff like that.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
the classifications for the reports going in are pretty mind-boggling if you ever get into them, because pretty much they just the three main fields of it are like, this is not credible by any means possible. And then the secondary part is like, oh, it's kind of credible. I mean,
Yeah,
it
like
could have
could
been
be.
this, it could have been that. And then the other one is definite um, proof.
Yeah.
And mind you, Project Blue Book does not have a single record of definite proof,
Right. And
but
a lot of it
you get
has
pretty
been
close.
right, and a lot of it has been quote unquote debunked. Like certain, we can go back and look at certain weather alignments, star charts, things like that, and find out if there were any meteors in like the sky at that night that could have caused that phenomenon. And sometimes that is the case. Not every time though. There's still quite a bit of it that is left unidentified. But Joey, let me ask you something. Have you ever heard about how the officials develop protocol for handling the sightings and whether or not they go in the blue book?
I absolutely do, but for our audience, please explain.
So they straight up just developed a standardized questionnaire. Think of like a bubble test almost. But like some of the sample prompts from this test are like, draw a picture that shows the shape of the object or objects. What was the condition of the sky? Did the object speed up and rush away? Did it change shape? Did it flicker, throb, or pulse? Like it's just crazy. They're like, we need to know everything about this first, and then we'll decide to know if it's good enough to go in the book. So I'm wondering if they
Yeah.
treated it like a standardized test. Like, do you get 500 points if you just put your name on it? Like,
Yeah, well, So I have the total number of sightings from 1947, before it was even Project Blue Book, all the way to 1969. There is 12,618 total reports, and
Jeez.
701 of them are completely unidentifiable.
That's insane. That's too many.
I would like to state, obviously 12,618, not every single one of them is going to be credible. And while
Right.
these are sightings, these are per person. You got to think sightings like 1947, there's 122. It's kind of a lot in terms of like around the country. 122 times somebody has filed an official, like, either gone to the
Report.
police, or yeah, gone to the police, talked to their local government official. It takes a lot for people to do that. I will say that. So just be aware, I take these pretty seriously because it does take a lot for a person to report something. As much as we like to say that it doesn't, it does, so
That
for
does,
even
by the way.
122.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to say that that does, by the way, equate to about 5.6%.
Yeah.
So almost 6% of these reports completely unexplainable.
Yeah. And as we get further and further in the years, more of them become identified, and like they begin to report more often. Especially like 1966, 1,112, 1957, 1,006, 1952, 1,501. Like, and surprisingly, in 1952, 303 of those reports are unidentified from that year alone.
Yeah, big chunk.
Yeah, it's insane to know all the different stuff going on between that, because it's like we say a lot on the show with the alien portions, it is really hard to mistake things when 5 to 6 people even get the same object in one go. Completely, they don't know each other. They don't have any contact with one another. They've been proven to not have, like, we didn't have the internet back then, so just in case anybody wants
Right.
to say, like, maybe the internet. No, no, if you had anything close to a cell phone, you had some form of money, and the
Yeah, oh
common
yeah.
man still wasn't popular until later on.
They were sending telegrams back then. Just, dear Fred, stop. I saw a goddamn alien. Stop. I think he was a commie. Stop. Like, look.
That was, unsurprisingly, that is actually a big thing why people reported their sighting
Oh yeah,
during some of the
absolutely. The
times, is
propaganda was
because,
strong.
and so they would report what they see, and they're like, "Oh, well, we saw a big Russian cigar-shaped vehicle," and they're like, "Huh?
Yeah.
What?"
How do you
It's
know
like,
it was Russian? It had one of those hats. No, like,
it looked Russian.
there was a bottle of vodka glued to its side. What would you call that? No.
There was a giant bottle of vodka flying through the sky. You're like, okay, sure, Buster, sure. But
I knew
it is one of
Tito's was
those things. It's
aliens.
just,
No, I'm just kidding.
yeah, yeah,
oh,
it was them all
oh
along.
no.
But it's just odd, to say the least, with everything that goes on inside this, because like there's a lot more to these reports. Um, from you guys, from what we talked about last time on our Alien Files with the Kelly goblins. Those were a part of the Project Blue Book report.
Oh yeah.
So a lot of
Like,
famous ones, including Roswell, is even in this report, which is still
yeah.
that one, Roswell, is considered unidentified.
Yeah,
which is
because there was
odd.
so much.
There's just a lot of there's a lot of stuff at the time that I feel like got kind of messed around in this like time frame of which they were talking to each other, and like the longer and more we kind of focus into these different big alien events, the more you kind of see them like pop up in Project Blue Book, and it's insane to see like, oh, like I just said, like the Kelly Goblins is one, the Roswell incident is another.
Right.
You've got oh
And you
gosh,
got to
what is
think,
that one?
like we talked about a little bit, the type of evidence they have is stuff that would be considered obsolete by most modern days technology. Like for instance, there's at least 94 rolls of 35 millimeter microfilm. Like no one uses that anymore.
Yeah, yeah, I was just gonna say Travis Walton's case is also in here, the guy that also inspired the movie Fire in the Sky.
Right, right.
um
Yes.
yeah, his reports
Yeah.
in this as well.
Yeah, and Project Blue Book itself isn't the only thing that grew and has changed over the years. The people overseeing it has changed, and they always pick somebody though who definitely seems qualified and is definitely military personnel. But it's funny that even though all of that is the case, because again, this is the Air Force's like project. Um, so even though that's the case, they all treated it different. So, for example, Captain Edward J. Ruppelt, he was like, "This is science. This is a scientific quest. We have to figure this out and just treat it as science." And he's honestly still like raised up as the project's most impartial leader. And then there was another man, Major Hector Quintanilla. I hope I'm pronouncing that. It might be Quintanilla. Um, but he took it over in 1963, so shortly after he took it over, it quote unquote dissolved. Um, but he turned Blue Book into like a PR front. He was like, "We're gonna get rid of the public's interest on UFOs," and that ended up leading to like a huge government cover up, or at least the charges of one.
Yeah, well, the reason behind all that is because I like to say that the guy that was head of this project for the longest time, he was the guy that wrote the book. That wrote he wrote
Right.
a book entailing everything that he dealt with in Project Blue Book. And so like that book, like I said, I highly recommend for anybody to read. It does have edits in it to the last two chapters, and you'll see in those last two chapters that they just completely changed the entire view of what he originally said in the first like 16 chapters, which is
But weren't those done
odd
post
because
mortem?
he died. Yeah, he died, and then those changes were
Yeah.
made. So it's kind of dumb because you'd be like, why would you do that? You know, like
Yeah,
you're
you're
just
giving them
kind of
more
yeah,
credibility.
yeah.
Yeah.
But in Project Blue Book, he talks about so many different events, and he talks about like swamp gas phenomena, lightning ball phenomena, a bunch of different things that he's
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh, this could happen. This is something that happens in our world. And while I am kind of a non believer in a lot of those kind of things, I do know that they do
Well,
have some presence, like swamp gas. If something
yeah.
ignites it, it does make weird light. 'Cause it's not on
Oh
fire.
yeah.
Like it's not like an actual
And ball
fire. It's yeah.
and ball lightning is real. It's just that the specific conditions to make it are incredibly rare, but it has been quote unquote discovered. It is a real phenomenon that happens. It's just a ridiculously specific set of weather circumstances that make it happen. It's the same
Which
thing
most
when
of
you
the
think about
time,
a tsunami or a tornado.
yeah,
It has to be
yeah,
very specific weather pattern.
yeah, and that's the thing about like the ball lightning part of this stuff. Like I don't really understand it that much because I'm like ball lightning isn't as like common as
Right.
it's not something you look up and you see every day, right? It's not something
Oh
that
no.
occurs naturally like every single month. Like, oh, you get a couple ball lightnings every month. It's like it's sporadic over years, right? You don't know. And while some of them I think have credibility towards that, most of them that are considered was it like non-importance, they don't really hold any credibility. Um, those ones are easy to kind of throw away because those are the ones where it's like, I was back in my backyard. I was 17 beers down. I looked up in the sky and I saw this thing. Yeah, like that one, you're like, okay, he was drunk. You can chop it up to he was drunk, he was drinking, he was doing his thing, whatever. Throw it out the window. We're not going to worry about it. But there are some
Mhm.
that are so stupendous that you can't deny either it is or isn't. Because again, you got to think in Project Blue Book, there is a thing where if they found proof, they were to hit the proof button and send that directly to the project manager. So,
Oh, yeah.
in the whole time, it did not happen. But there is reasons why, because the list for it to be credible source is you have to have a body or a piece of the thing, or you have to have documented photos, documented video, all untampered with, right? And then you have to,
Right.
so you either got to get a picture, get a video, get a physical sample. You got to get anything that like just doesn't come with it, right? Like you're not gonna see it crash. And you got to remember 1947, 1969, people don't have cameras every day. Like, I mean, now, in this day and age, of course we do. We have one in our pocket at all times. But back then, it was a luxury item. It wasn't very common to have it. And on top of everything, like, if you did have the means to do so, these things are so quick to happen that you probably couldn't snap a shot even if you had the time to do so. Right?
Oh, yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's just a lot of
Um,
Project Blue Book is
there's
based on just word of mouth. So
Right, and that can become a problem. For instance, a huge controversial part of Project Blue Book to where they're even like we're including it for the purposes of historical information, but we don't regard it as part of Project Blue Book, even though that's where you can find it in the National Archives website. Anyway, it's called the MJ12 or the Majestic 12 Reference Report, and this was the report, 1954. Um, from Robert Cutler to General Nathan Twining. Maybe Twining T, I don't know. But they have 10 reasons here, and I wanted to list them out. I thought that'd be kind of fun. They have 10 reasons here why this document is not considered part of Project Blue Book and why they believe it poses problems. And by reading these, we might be able to see the amount of detail that go into actually considering these reports, and that'll lend even more credibility in my mind to those 701 unidentified things. So number one is the document was located in a record group 341 entry 267, and that series is filled with a top secret register number, right? This particular document, that Majestic 12, is like one of the only ones that doesn't bear that number. It's also filed in a folder all by itself with no other files in that folder. Already I getting like spam vibes. I'm like, oh shit, that's a virus, bro. Number 3, it says researchers on the stash of the National Archives have searched the records of the Secretary of Defense and the Joint Chiefs of Staff Headquarters, U.S. Air Force, and other related files, and no other information about the Majestic 12 incident or report has ever been found, apparently. Again, this is all according to the Archives website, archives.gov. Inquiries to the U.S. Air Force, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and the National Security Council failed to produce further information. That's number 4. Number 5 is Freedom of Information Office and the National Security Council informed archives that the top secret restricted information is a marking that did not come into use at the National Security Council until the Nixon administration. The Eisenhower Presidential Library also confirms this particular marking was not used during the Eisenhower administration. So timing-wise, it doesn't line up. And then they have 4 other reasons here. This one is basically the same thing, but it's a different mark. It doesn't contain the watermark or the official level letterhead, pardon me, from the White House. So, for all they know, someone just printed this out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, that which is would be super funny. They also searched the National Security Council and the official meeting minute files. That's a mouthful. And found no record of the meeting stated in the Majestic 12 report that took place in July of 1954. 3 more reasons, all right? That was 7. So 3 more. The Judicial, Fiscal, and Social Branch searched the indices of the NSC records and found no listing for MJ-12, Majestic, or anything related to UFOs, unidentified flying objects, flying saucers, or flying discs in this MJ-12 Majestic report. NAJA found a memo in a folder titled Special Meeting July 16th, 1956, which indicated that the members would be called to a civil defense exercise on that date. And the very last one is an actual letter from the military, the military reference branch that the Eisenhower Library still has. And it reads as such. President Eisenhower's appointment books contain no entry for a special meeting on July 16, 1954, which might have included a briefing on MJ-12. Even when the president had off-the-record meetings, the appointment books contain entries indicating the time of the meeting and the participants. The Declassification Office of the National Security Council has informed us it has no record of any declassification action having been taken on this memorandum or any other documents on this alleged project. Now, Joey, having said all of that, knowing that MJ-12 is like one of the few things that was supposedly so well documented, has all these things wrong with it, and is stricken from Blue Book, I have a very important question to ask you. Do you think the report from the National Archives is legit, or do you think Majestic is legit and this is a huge cover-up?
I think just with the timing aspects of everything, I think it makes it cover up territory for me because I think that like
Yeah.
you got to understand that our government is very meticulous with everything. Things do not get messed up.
Everything.
Dates do not get misprinted. Things do not go under the table. The meetings do not get miscredited, and projects do not get misplaced and then mislabeled. Nor do things not
Exactly.
get stamped, documented, or anything like that. That is very. The odds of it happening are like 1 in a billion. There's processes for everything. And someone had to watch over that. Somebody's
For real.
assigned these things. There's always someone assigned to documents, no matter who or what it is. And there is little as I saw a bird in the sky and it looked kind of weird. That gets filed,
Right,
put
yeah.
away, looked at, documented, stamped, notified, notarized. It's like there's a bunch of stuff that happens when that goes down. And for it to
Oh,
just
yeah.
be like it's yeah, it's kind of doesn't fit, it
What's
doesn't
also
fit.
What's also funny to me is if they believe it's so fake, why are they holding on to it even for educational purposes, supposedly? Why are they including it with the declassification of the Project Blue Book thing if they are quoted as saying they don't believe it has anything to do with Project Blue Book? It almost feels like we found this one thing, so you can't really believe any of it.
Well, it's weird because in my opinion, it's like why take a document, right? Why take this document that supposedly holds a bunch of information? Why even keep it? If you really wanted to get rid of something, we have seen our government get rid of papers and things. They can
Oh, yeah.
at any point.
Oh, easy.
Why there's a reason they didn't. And then after they didn't, now you're kind of like, "Oh, we made a fucky wucky." You're kind of like dude, what the hell? Like, what am I supposed to do? You know, like, well, what do you want me to do? It like you had the
Yeah,
chance to destroy it
absolutely.
then, and for you to now be like, "Oh, we messed up." Okay, well, let's just forget that it ever happened, and then as soon as these things get declassified, you have to pull it out and bring it out. Yeah, it's kind of like,
Yeah,
well, did you expect to hide the thing forever or what?
for
Like,
real. It's just so trippy. It's
it's a waste
too
of
many
goddamn
hands in
time.
this particular pot. That
It,
too.
it's so yeah, it's just a waste of goddamn time to not release it or not just like own up to it and just be like, yeah, this is what it entails. Yeah, it's like whenever they release documents that might actually have some good credibility, they always have to do this thing where they're like, well, honestly, it's not even worth looking at. It's like the guy who's playing poker that has no poker face.
Trust me, I'm a
Yeah,
doctor. That makes me not trust you or believe you're a doctor. No.
oh, dude, my hand in this poker game sucks. You guys should all put everything in. Like, no. Um, I think
Yeah,
I
I'm not
fooled
gonna do that.
Buster. I'm good. It's like, it's just, it's so dumb because it reminds me of the kid that just tries to hide something. Like they're hiding something behind their back. You're like, did you take a cookie from the cookie jar? No. You're like, brother, I can see crumbs all over your fucking face. You're holding something behind your back ominously. Just show me what it is. Right? It's like, okay. And that's what I think about MJ12 personally. It's just
Me too, 100%. It's too much. They put too much emphasis and effort into trying to cover this up and hide it and be like, no, it's not real, and discredit it as soon as they had to declassify it and stuff. That it's like, I don't know, man. It looks pretty fucking real. Like,
well, at the end report before the dissolution of Project Blue Book, they pretty much said that the result of all this was a waste. All these things are just wasted because it's either mass hysteria, fabricated reports slash hoaxes, or pathological liars slash
yeah. But
psychopathological persons.
Joey, 6%, 5.6%.
I'm just
Unidentified,
saying, are you
unexplainable.
gonna
Still.
call that many people liars and psychopaths, and they're all out to create a
Dude, there's
hoax?
towns that
There,
don't have that many people. Like,
no, no. There's stuff out there, and it's like some of them are people in a town that small. And to be
yeah,
honest with you, why? There's no point in making up like okay, I will say obviously there's people out there that make stories. We know that. But the thing that boggles my mind about Project Blue Book stuff is that like they discredit so many reports as just being like, "Oh, this is just 6 people with mass hysteria." My brother in Christ, they are 8 miles away from each other and they
for
all saw
real.
the same thing. How do you say that's mass hysteria if these people don't know who you are? They're completely different
Yeah.
nationalities. They come from different countries. They come from different states. There's no internet. There's no way that they could have met up. They didn't go to Alien Con 1947. Okay, like that's not something that happened, right? That's not something that happens. And like these are small towns. These are big cities. These are places where like you have people making reports that are like genuine, credible sources. You got not only do you have reports of doctors and police officers and other officers and governing officials, such as the ones that fly. I don't know. It's called something a little. I think it's a little place called the Air Force. A solid third of those reports are your Air Force members. Psychopathological liars and persons. You're gonna call a third of your branch psychopaths or pathological liars or mass hysteria. They're in the air by themselves with like a squad of two other people who are off doing their own thing. It's one of those things where it's like the my problem with it is that they just fucking throw people right under the goddamn bus. Their own people, they'll throw under pretty much everybody under the bus on this stuff, and I'm like, dude, the thing with UFO stuff is like, I get it. It's not something that like you see something in the sky, it's kind of weird. You could chalk it up to maybe it was a satellite and you didn't know what it was or what it looked like. You're like, oh, okay. We kind of just barely got into the satellite game during this time too. So it wasn't even like that was a thing that was very popular, you know? It's like obviously that could have been something. If you did see something like that, sure. It's new tech, it's new stuff, you don't know. But how do you excuse so many different accounts of people in the sky and you get people on the ground going through abductions, going through all these different things, and this doesn't even we haven't even covered the Men in Black that were supposedly born from this Project Blue Book. A whole
Right?
nother thing.
And like you I do want to cover that, but I want to touch on something you said. How are you going to discredit that many people to the point that, like you said earlier, the whole reason it dissolved in 1969, according to them, is that their investigations found no evidence of any UFO that was extraterrestrial in nature or threatened national security. What about that 6%, dog? What about that 6% though? Like, um,
It's weird
so
because
it is
that's
crazy that they
so
call them all liars
yeah
and then do this.
yeah exactly. It's just
Uh,
weird.
I
How
think
else
my
do you
favorite
explain it?
theory for why it, I think my favorite theory for why it really ended is because disposable cameras were invented in 1966, so everyone could have a camera
I
at
would
that
believe
time.
it. Honestly, I would believe it because the thing is like
Me too.
um like I'm saying, I know right now, for people listening or people watching or whatever you're doing, sitting on the couch or driving to work, I think people forget in the day that we live now that everything we have in 1950, we did not have really great technology at that point. Like the fact
Nope.
the jump from 2000 to now, I would even say the jump from 2000 to 2013, the leagues of
Oh yeah.
which we did technology in those 13 years is actually stupendous. It is insane how great the jump from just 13 years was.
Oh yeah.
1950,
Insane.
we had nothing. We did not have a lot that happened
We had indoor
during
plumbing
that
and we
time.
thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, because I'm looking at the
Well, just think
okay.
about the evolution of the cell phone over the years. They went from like bricks, bro, like a notebook sized brick with a pull out antenna that had to have a briefcase charger for a fucking 20-minute phone call, if that, right? To now it's something that fits in everybody's pocket, bro.
Yeah,
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
it went
Well, it's one of those
through so many
things.
iterations.
Yeah, it's one of those things like when you hear like, oh, you have more coding in your phone than what we had to program to get us to the moon. Like that is a
Right,
true
yes.
statement because
Yep.
during the 1950s, year of 1950, we barely barely got into the innovation of modern computing.
Yeah. Yeah,
Barely.
if you want to see something fun, you look up a gig of like or a gig. Yeah, I think a gig or maybe a terabyte of hard drive space like from way back then and now, and it's like now we have micro SD cards that can hold that, and way back then, dude, it was like a fucking giant barrel looking thing. Like it was
Yeah, it looked
huge.
like your dad's homemade smoker, okay?
Yeah.
And you got to think 1960, 10 years later, right? That jump barely got a single lens reflex camera
Yep.
produced.
Barely got to that. Yeah.
Barely. And it's insane to think about like the jumps that are made here because we're going from 1940s to 1969, right? Almost 1970. It's
Yeah.
the sciences behind everything. I mean, okay, 1947 was the first AK-47 to ever be developed was during that year.
Right.
There's
That talks
so
says a
much
lot.
in there. Yeah, it does because it's like there's not, and this is the first time we sent living items and things and beings, fruit flies to space. Right, was 1947. First time we ever did that.
Right.
So, like, you gotta think that at this point, we do have computers. They are not the computers that we have today, people. They are not. There is no communication between one person to another on a computer. It is 17 people plugging and unplugging cords in a computer to get it to do
Oh yeah.
data analytics. And, like,
Fucking
that
LAN parties.
didn't stop until 1956 when they finally had a computer that was modernized completely to the point where it was like you could sit down and type on it. You know? So like
Right.
that is only what? That's only 13 years before this project was dead. So there's not a lot of tech that is even possible to record or document any of this. And this is just what I'm trying to hammer home is just like because it is all word of mouth. No matter what, like there's nothing here that's like they had nothing. And it's insane to me to know that like we got so many reports despite this being a problem back then.
Right. Cause like to hammer on that point again, 12,000 reports, 700 of which still unidentified, but only 94 rolls of 35 millimeter microfilm. So like, a 1 minute film at best, or like 30 pictures, like at best. At that's probably being really generous. But
Well,
like
not
only
only that,
94 rolls out of all those
well,
years.
yeah, exactly. And Nate, we're not even talking on the point that you would get ridiculed in your small town if you reported something like this. You
Oh,
were
100%.
considered loony. You were gonna be crazy to them. Like you report this is one of those things where I'm saying you report something like this, it goes around quick. You're in a small town. People know you. And most of these are small town occurrences. If you get caught and people know and the cop tells somebody, tells his wife, who tells her friends, who tells her friends, you're the town whack job, and like it ruins your reputation as a person, and this was something very serious back in 1947 to 1960 even.
Oh
You
yeah.
got to think as Americans, we were still going through a lot of segregation and stuff at this point too. So like it was not an easy time for a lot of these people to even sacrifice a little bit of their reputation in the community because elsewise your opinion flew right out the window in voting, in getting your, if you were going to be a politician or you were going to do anything like that or promote your business. Some of these sightings killed people's business and livelihoods just because they were viewed as such. And that's
Yeah.
what makes it so interesting to me is because it's like, despite that, thousands have been reported. And that's where I get a little upset with it because I'm like, there's so much trouble that comes with reporting it, and people know. They know that. And even if they sensationalized a couple times, or somebody made a book and made some money off of it, or did something like that, That is 1 in a million chance that that would happen to you. Like, if I told Nate an
Yeah,
entire elaborate thing that was like an alien encounter, there's a good chance it's not gonna make it to the bookshelves.
right. Well, and think about it, Joey. Even today, we'll be like, "Bust out your tinfoil hat, guys." You know, it's like a joke nowadays. But back then, it wasn't like a joke. They were like, "Don't talk to him. He wears tinfoil hats because he believes the aliens are coming." You know, like
You
he's
would
fucking a wacko.
legitimately could have gone to an asylum.
Oh yeah,
I
hundred
wanna make
percent.
that clear. That is something that 100% probably did happen and could have happened.
Right. But you touched on something a little bit, and I just at least want to bring it up a little bit more, a little go into it just a little bit more. Just give me a handful of this because I love this theory that Project Blue Book is the reason for Men in Black.
Yeah. Pop off, queen.
so so the theory is obviously the Air Force started this all on its own. Then it gets wind in a higher government office, and then the Air Force officials that started all this are visited by these men who claim they're from this government office. Now, I don't know what the credentialing system was back then. I assume it wasn't the same as like just flash a badge or whatever. I assume it's pretty elaborate. But threats were made and things happened because that visit took place, I want to say around 1967 actually.
Yeah.
So it shut down shortly after the visit. So, and no one really knows what happened because they wouldn't allow anyone else in there besides the project heads and themselves, and they wouldn't allow any recording. They wouldn't allow any like documentation taken by any of the Air Force's people. Like it was an operation at the time because also no internet, no cell phone, no nothing. No one's gonna
Nope.
believe you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The only people
Yeah.
that would is if somebody, and that's the crazy part, because I know that we're getting into the Men in Black a little bit. The Men in Black are so interesting because the thought that someone just comes to your house because they just asked around and found your address, and you get
Right.
visited, you're like, oh, it's just some government official here to help me. And then like the countless number of times where somebody is like, I was threatened with guns and my family's lives if this ever came out again. Like if I mean, I don't know if you've seen it, Nate, but like The Boys,
Oh yeah, I've seen some
it
of it.
yeah, it reminds me of like when Vought just goes and pays people off to like never talk about it again. And like that's funny because sometimes that happened. There's record of that. Like, oh, the government paid me $3,000, which at the time is like a shitload of money, right? Like, oh, $3,000 to just keep hush hush about it. And then
Right.
they only tell people on the news or something when they're like dying. They're about to die, right? And you're like deathbed confessions are the craziest shit of all time because you will get them at the end of someone's life and you're like, what the hell? Man, like that's insane. Like how did you go your whole life without just like talking about that? Like that's crazy, you know? And then it's just
Right.
interesting because there's so many different threats and different things that have been made. Um and one case is the Kelly Goblins, right? Um that family was visited by quote unquote men in black. Um and they weren't given any money, they weren't given any things, but they were questioned extensively by these Project Blue Book people. And to the point where they pretty much said like they offered them witness protection because of how much attention they were getting from the town. That was their offer.
Right. Well, and here's the thing with that. Again, I hate to be the skeptical conspiracy tinfoil hat guy, but they said they offered protection. If they would have taken it, who knows what would have happened?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it's odd because you think these deals look so good, right? And then it's just like the deals that they make sound so great and wonderful, And some of the people that have taken these deals have come out on deathbed confessions, stuff like that, news outlets, and have said things that are just like, yeah, well, after I took it, like, I didn't realize that I was signing up for a yearly checkup of my community. Like, they would go visit people's houses door to door and check to see if I said anything. Like, to go that far is insane. You're
That
keeping
is
you
crazy.
they sign away pretty much your privacy for that. It's crazy.
You don't need any privacy, Joey. Your government is here to take care of you.
Just
Stay
sign
in the
here.
house.
We're gonna
No.
protect you. We're gonna, we're the government. We're gonna protect you. Everything's gonna be all right. We own you, but don't worry about that part. Let's just skip over it. Let's go to the next section right here. You're like, huh?
Somebody used to say, committing suicide's illegal because it's destruction of government property. I was
I
like,
mean,
damn.
in a weird way. So I guess some of them think that, but it. Like I said, the Men in Black throw me for such a loop because they're such a mysterious force with government funding. The funny part is, like, we talk about this, and another show reference is like Invincible. It's hot right now. We just
Oh yeah,
finished the season 4.
it's
Like,
good.
it's really funny because, like, you think about, like, oh, it's kind of stupid. Like, the government's really not that powerful, and then you take into account all the secret projects and stuff that they do without our knowledge, without public knowledge, probably goes into the billions of dollars,
Oh yeah,
right? So, like,
easy,
government
easy.
funding is infinite, pretty much. When it
Oh
comes
yeah,
to, like, oh, we could just use this and do this. All right, go ahead and throw money at it. And so, like, the Men in Black, to throw money at that and be like, oh yeah, everything here is just funded. You don't have to ever. They don't ever have to worry about not being able to do something. So when you sign that contract for $50,000, $60,000 worth of money to keep hush hush about your experience, it's good in the moment, but it's just interesting to know that no matter what, that is a drop in the bucket for them to infinitely check on you or infinitely keep your contacts, or, like, you never know if they're paying, because even then you could go as far as saying, like, what if they're so involved to things that they are toe to toe with, like, they're with, like, phone companies or, like, people around you, like, what if they're keeping tracks on your mail? That kind of thing, especially at the time. At the time, AT&T was a thing, but they were a part of mailing services. So it was interesting because if you sign that, imagine there's a contract to AT&T to track your mail. What are you sending
right.
out? What are you sending in? What are you getting in? Who are you talking to outside of things without their knowledge, right? So, like, the money is a big part of it because it basically means they can pay anyone that is a part of you, your bosses, like your company you work for, stuff like that. Like, there's a lot of push and pull they had at the time, as even with just being physically there, and
Oh yeah,
it's
100%.
crazy. It's crazy to think about that and think, like, this stuff with the Men in Black is just such a interesting ploy, almost, to get information out of you at the end of the day and make
Right.
sure you're complying with your contract standards.
Right. I have often wondered if, because again, what's the credentialing system? I've often wondered if I could do so. I've seen these people do it. They'll just take a ladder with them and they'll just walk into places. I've watched them go, like, watch movies before for free because they just take a ladder with them and no one asks anything. No one asks any questions. So I've always wondered, could I just go, like, fuck with a government office if I dressed up as the Men in Black? You know what I mean? Like,
There's things that, like, I think are very interesting when it comes to the security
not that I would ever
aspect.
try that.
I actually have something for that. So, Nate, I've been a security officer for a while, right? I've done that as my
Okay.
occupation that I've done for a long time. When I
Joey's
wear
a
my
cop.
security
No.
jacket outside, which sometimes I do wear it. It's a double layered inlining jacket. It's very warm. It's comfortable,
Fuck yeah.
and I wear it outside sometimes. If you walk into a store anywhere, I've walked past kids that are like playing with like the fake gun section, like the BB section of a Walmart. I have seen them turn
Yeah.
around so fast and walk away from me and like run. And to me, I think it's funny because it's like I'm in shorts and sandals, and the only thing I'm wearing is a security jacket. I've got an Aloha shirt on, you know, and I'm sitting out there and I'm like, it's just the sign of authority people are afraid of. And I think that's so
I'm just
interesting because the suits, the men in black, because the suits, I think the suits give them a higher sense of authority alongside the badge and everything. You know, that's why
and the
there's
confidence
respect
they
for
probably
people that do
carry.
it. Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing that I'm saying with this is like I've walked into a theater as a security officer with my badge. Um just going to enjoy the movie, and this kid just let me walk right in, and he was like, "Oh, do you guys need 2 tickets?" And I was like, "Oh, it's actually 3." He goes, "Oh, are you here for the movie?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Yeah, just pay for the 2 tickets. You're good. Go ahead and go through." And I was like, "What?" Uh, I mean, I didn't say anything. All
Right.
honesty, I'll take it. I'm a man of very
Oh
many
yeah.
sins. But I was like, "Okay. I mean, if you're not gonna make me pay, sure, whatever." And I paid for popcorn. Like I bought the popcorn, but like they didn't make me pay
Did
for
you
the
buy the
ticket
Dune
because
popcorn bucket? No.
I have the Garfield bucket. The Garfield, yes. Um, but I thought it
Nice.
was just funny that there is sometimes that I can walk around in a security jacket and people treat me completely different as a normal citizen.
Oh yeah, when you're telling the story about the kids in Walmart, I just pictured freeze, flap, 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 flap,
Yeah, I was like,
chasing them down.
it was just weird because again, it's just like authority. Authority means something in society, whether or not we believe it or not. And the funny part about that is like it was even more so back in this time. So somebody walks
Oh
up in a
yeah,
suit and they flash a badge that says they're FBI or with the government. You sit the fuck down and you give them answers to whatever they want to know. You know, that's how my parents grew up. That's how their parents grew up. You listen to your officials. Like
right.
that's so interesting to me. And
It
that's
really,
just part of
really
the reason
is.
I think the Men in Black are kind of scary because they're just so off-putting in an odd satirical sense. They're like a king, the king coming into your court, right? It's like, okay, let's just calm down. I don't want to piss anybody off or go to jail or go to this. You know, like it's fear. So it's weird because they're oddly fear mongering people into telling them about their experience, which is weird, but I guess it worked. So
Yeah, I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Fear mongering has been a way of controlling people since the Bible.
this is the Bible. You dare dare
Well,
go
I
against
am
the
the
words of the
devil
mighty
from
Jimmy.
the Bible, so.
I'm literally the devil from the Bible. Yeah, fucking Shadow, it's
Oh, that's
me,
just
the
Leonard.
devil. Yeah, it's just I don't know, man, and like I know I know we kind of talked about like the Men in Black and why things on Project Blue Book are so interesting, and I know we don't deep dive into every single project thing or like citing is because a lot of it has been cut from the book, has been cut, it's been
Yeah,
redacted. There's really not much that we can go into on it, but if you go into a lot of the sightings, there is a ton of them that happen to be because if you go read that book that I'm talking about, just look up the book on Project Blue Book. Just read it, do whatever. Listen to an audiobook for it.
yeah.
It's all super interesting stuff, and you hear this guy talk about his opinion from chapter 1 to chapter like 14, it changes. He goes from the skeptical, it's not anything, this is a waste of my goddamn time, to there are some things we can't explain. And those are his
Mm.
words. Is a lot of it like we can't explain it, so it's going into unidentified. It's like, okay, but do you he never strictly says he believes that it's a UAP, UFO, alien life form, anything like that. He strongly points towards it with his wording though. He will say like there's
Right.
things in this world I believe that we cannot visibly understand. And it's like how do you not take that as an homage to the credibility of this project? And I think it's so interesting to just like get into it and see all of the stuff. And who knows, maybe one day I'll do a reading of it for you guys or something on the channel with
Mhm.
Nate. But it's one of the most
Okay.
interesting things that
Well,
I've ever read.
absolutely. And when you're reading it, Joey, just like that guy couldn't explain things, so it went into unidentified, you can't forget about that 5.6%. And speaking of 5.6%, that's about how much time I think we got left, which just happens to be enough time to tell the people about all your fun stuff. Our fun stuff, excuse me.
Of course. And for those of you looking out for us, if you guys want to join the Patreon over at Patchwork Games, you guys can go over to patreon.com/patchwork games, and you guys can find our tier listings as well as you guys can join for free. Or if you want to go ahead and buy some of my stuff that I already have, I have a guess what? Really funny alien sci-fi TTRPG. I also happen to have our zombie game out right now on clearance sale. Any versions we come out in the future up to 1.05, you guys will get for free. So if you purchase now at the discounted price, good on you. If you just want to toss us a buck or two, by all means, feel free to do so. We're gonna have a lot of stuff on there later on this year, so look forward to that stuff. Look forward to everything that we got going on because we got a lot coming and a lot in store for you guys at Patchwork Media. So I'm really excited to get all of that out and reach more folks like you guys. I'm so happy to say that everything's been super awesome with our product line, with our YouTube. I mean, especially this show in particular. I love doing this show. It's a lot of fun, and I get to talk about conspiracy theories when most of the time I get to talk about bad shit that happens at the table at D&D. So this is a good refresher for me, and I love it so much, and I want this to be something that I can do for a long time. So if you don't mind helping out or giving your support, me and Nate and Antonio from my other show would greatly appreciate it. So go ahead and check that out over at patreon.com/patchworkgames or go follow us on this channel or my other channel, and that would be greatly appreciated as well. Now, Nate, it's up to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, absolutely. And definitely make sure while you're surfing the webs, doing those Patreons, finding those shows, you take a little jaunt, a little ditty, if you will, a little jog maybe, over to blizzardwizard.com. That's BLZZRDWZZRD.com. Or you can find me under that same name under all socials except for Snap and X. And if you need anybody, and I mean anybody, to do voice work for you, I'm your guy. So go ahead and hit me up. And we love all our Delvers. Please continue to like, share, subscribe, all those good things. Please go support us in the Patreon. Support Patchwork Games. Get some of those CTRPGs. As someone who has played a little bit of Reemergence, very fun. Lots of fun stuff that's going there. And you also have Parasitic Paradigm and what's the name of the other one?
Those are the only ones that I have up, but I do have a lot of expansions for Reemergence in case people want more content.
Right. Exactly. So go check those out if you like those, if you like TTRPGs. Keep listening to us if you like us, which you know you do. And we love you guys. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, see you later, Delvers, and I hope you guys enjoy the next episode. That is going to be very fun. Um, I'm looking forward to having a little bit of yokai action go on. So until next time, we'll see you guys later.